Hi folks, Neil from ECS Coffee. Today we're talking temperature in espresso machines. We get quite often asked what is the hottest temperature that comes out of our espresso machines. And while in the book they all have their temperatures listed, usually between 192 and 200 or so, we thought we'd actually test with a thermometer. Now you'll notice this video is going to show a few costume changes with me, and that's because I've now refilmed this thing 3 times because I kept finding errors in my data after we went back through it. So a few things to note. One, we have set all of the machines to maximum temperature if they had that option in the super automatics and in the portafilter machines if it has the option. Number 2, we're using the same thermometer. We're going into a paper cup, a new paper cup for each one, so that it's fair, so we're not losing any temperature to ceramic or glass. So those are the sort of the parameters we're doing. Keep in mind, we're not looking at quality of shots for this, just the temperature. You'll also find that the range of cost in these espresso machines ranges from under $1,000 up to almost $5,000. Might seem unfair, but the reality is that customers that come into our stores anyway are quite often in a price point that we find varies. They might start at $1,800 and end up at $1,000. They might start at $800 and end up going to $2,500 after they see what's out there. The espresso machine category is very varied, and quite often when people see what they can get at different price points, they do make those choices. So while it might not be a very equitable comparison, we wanted to show it for our customer base and give you an idea of what is the hottest machine. So you'll see me again doing some costume changes because as we kept reviewing this footage, we realized there were some errors on my part. We wanted to make sure we got it right. So we're going to start off with the Miele, and then we're going to go from there. Okay, let's start with Miele, folks. We're going to do our shot now. Looks like we've got to a high of 140, 141, 146, 146.7 seems to be the hottest. 146.7 for the Miele. All right, and on to the next one. Next up is the Philips 3200, lower price machine than the Miele, but let's just see what Philips gets us. Looks like with Philips, we're at about 136, 137.4. 137.4 on the Philips as a high. Not too bad, a little cooler than the Miele, which I thought, because the Miele tends to be a little bit warmer. Let's move over to Jura. We're going to do 2 of the Jura, depending on how you look at it. One that's been in our showroom for, been used daily, and one that's actually pretty much brand new. So we'll get to see the 2 variances in temperature on the Jura. And we're on to the Jura Z8. Again, we've done this to the maximum temperature. Press the espresso button. Let's see what we get. It looks like we've got 157.9, 157.9, 160.2. 160.2 on the high end on that one. That's a nice hot machine. Now we'll move on to the Enna. Next up, the Jura Enna 8, which is a newer model for Jura. More compact, better for condos. Let's see what we get. All right, we'll kind of turn this and see where we're at. Jura, we got to, this one we got to 137 on this guy. 137 was the, 137.8 actually, so still pretty warm. We'll see now, we'll move on to the Delonghi. We'll do 2 of the Delonghis as well. We're going to start with the Dynamica and then go to the Primadonna. So let's try our Dynamica, see what happens. 137.2, 145.7, 146.3. So 146.3, I think that makes the Delonghi Dynamica the hottest so far. So let's check the Primadonna, but I know it's up there. Next up is the Delonghi Primadonna. We're at 148, 151, 156. Wow, 156.4. Also pretty a higher price point, but I'd put this in line with the Miele. So let's move over to Breville and see what they've got. Now they've got a portafilter, which you can pre-rinse and preheat, which will help out the situation. Most people won't do that, so we're just going to do straight shot. We've got the machine on. They've all been on for about 20 minutes, so we're just going to go straight ahead and go into the portafilter shots because they're in the same sort of price bracket and ease of use, kind of the under $3,000 range per se. Once you get into the made in Italy machines like the Rockets and the Laylets, etc., you're in a different sort of category for temperature. But I think these guys are all a nice comparison for somebody looking to get into making espresso at home. So there's a big debate online between the Specialista and the Barista Express, which one is a better unit. Let's check the temperature, maybe that'll make the decision for you. Again, we're not looking necessarily at the quality of the shot in here, just want to see what comes out when we're brewing. I'm not playing with setting up these machines perfectly for everybody, so let's give this a go, and we'll go from there. Don't know if you can grab that in the camera, but let's see what we got. Like we're at 144, 146, 147, 148.5, 151. 151.6 was the max on that, which is pretty hot actually. So 151.6 Fahrenheit. I'm going to put this into the little phone so I remember which one is hotter. Okay, now we're going to go to the Barista Express. This model has been used in our showroom for probably about a year now. So we're going to do this, then we're going to move over to the Pro just to see if the newer version will have any impact and difference. So give this a shot and see what we end up with. Might have to read this one out to you. We're at 135, 142, 144, 147, 149, 149, 150. 153, 154, 155, 156, 157.6, 157.6. That's pretty good for a machine that's been used quite a bit. So 157.6 seems to be the temperature, which means anything with a portafilter is going to get you a little hotter coffee than a super automatic, obviously. It's probably because the coffee's coming in, the water's coming right through here, and we've got brass involved. But yeah, nice job on the Breville. Last but not least, we have the Barista Pro, using our own 88 mile per hour espresso blend, roasted in-house here in Burlington with a zero emissions roaster. Just a little plug for our new coffee. Let's see what we got out of this guy. So we are up to 156, 157.8. 157.8 is the hottest we got on the Barista Pro. So in conclusion, what we found is that overall, the machines that had a portafilter came in a little bit hotter, but the Jura Z8, which was the most expensive machine that we did try, did come in with the hottest temperature at 160.2. Then we got down to the Barista Pro portafilter machine, the Barista Express, and then we went to the Primadonna, which surprised me, the Delonghi Primadonna at 156.4. Back to the portafilter machine, the Specialista at 151.6, and then we go to the Miele at 146.7, the Dynamica from Delonghi at 146.3, the Enna 8 at 137.8, and the Philips 3200 at 137.4. Again, keeping in mind that the Philips 3200 is about the fifth of the price of the Jura Z8. So overall, that's what we ended up with. Keep in mind, we tried to make it as fair as possible, but there is that massive, massive variance in price. So keep that in mind when you're doing your shopping. At the end of the day, the best thing is if you can come down to our stores if you're in Canada, in Burlington or Ancaster, you can actually try this for yourself. If you like what you saw, please like us below and subscribe. Until next time, thanks.